on the math forum exactly what my process is of how I found the area of a torus, and comparing it to the normal method. I noticed there was a little bit of confusion on the thread, so I thought, hey, I might as well make a video try to explain it. So first off, going to draw a torus, two-dimensional torus. Whoops, excuse me one second. Let's see. Okay, there we go. You have a torus right here. What I was trying to find the area of was a quarter of a torus right here. So what I did for that was I turned it into a full torus. Well, first thing I did was I took the radius and I made up some numbers. The radius from right here to the middle of the tube right here. We'll call that R, and R will equal, say, 3.5 feet. Now this radius right here, the radius of the tube itself, is 0.5 feet. Let's assume that this, well, that's a small radius. Let's assume that this is what each of all the numbers are. What I did was this. You have a radius right here, and you have another smaller radius right here. What I did was, I thought to myself, the volume of a torus is basically a circular cylinder. So what did I do? I decided to take the radius from this point to this point, which is 3.5 feet, and I decided to turn that with a circle of 0.5 feet. I decided to turn that into a cylinder and find the volume of that cylinder, which is 3.5, and then 1 with a radius of 0.5, and then basically what I did was pi r squared to equal the area of this part of the cylinder right here, and then I multiplied that by 3.5. That is the radius, and keep in mind I'm doing this with the line that is the radius, so the radius will turn into the volume of a cylinder. And then after I did that, I did this number, which is, we'll call it A, and then I did A multiplied by 2 pi, and that equals the area of the torus. And then after that, I realized that I had a macaroni shape, that's what I call it. It was basically a quarter of a torus, so I took that whole answer, the area of the torus, divided it by 4, equals the area of that shape. So basically what you see is, what I did was I turned the radius into a cylinder and found the volume of that cylinder. Then I did this, and then I turned it into a circumference. So to sum it up, this is the radius right here. This is a smaller radius, this is the larger radius. I used those two numbers to get the solution that I needed, and then I divided the whole thing by 4 to find the area of this shape. Well, I hope that clears things up, and I hope that explains it. And keep in mind, I am still learning when it comes to math, but I do enjoy math, I do love it, and I appreciate your guys' help. But I hope this explains my thought process. The normal way that people do this is pi r squared multiplied by 2 pi r. And notice I did a capital and a lowercase, because that's the larger radius and the smaller radius. Then that's the normal way they did it. But the way I did it was almost the same, but a little bit different, because I visualized it in my mind. And I did this before I learned about this formula, just so you know. Well, anyway, I hope that explains the whole thing, and I hope this clears up some of the confusion. As you can see, I'm a very visual thinker because I have ADHD, that's part of it, but I like to think in images and visualize things in my head. But anyway, I hope that explains it.